Ladies love the skin.
Ow.
Bring it a little bit closer. The good skin, that is. That's why having a proper skincare routine is very important, and you need to feel the Teej. The process is so easy, just 4 steps. You got your daily face wash. That's going to clean your face up nice and right. You got your exfoliator scrub. That's going to open up your pores. You got your AM moisturizer with the SPM 20, which is going to protect you from the sun. You also got your PM moisturizer, which is going to make sure your skin is protected throughout the night. Teej has tons of reviews from dedicated customers across the world. I know I said a lot, but it's okay, because guess what? It comes with an instruction card to explain to you in detail what to do morning and night. And because Teej is a sponsor, they're offering my family 30% off along with a free gift. Just click that link that's in the description and feel the Teej.
wait. I know what you're going to say. I'm not a man and I don't have a beard, but he does. And so does he. I have 3 points for you that's going to help you grow your beard, and not just grow it, but hydrate it, allow it to come in healthy and shiny, and be able to groom it properly without all the flaking and the itchiness that sometimes comes with grooming the beard. Okay, number 1, be patient and consistent. Number 2, resist the urge to trim and shape your beard for the first 4 to 6 weeks. Number 3, don't hesitate to start now using products.
Just had to take a moment to see my beard looking so good. Man, make sure y'all click that link.
Please tune in to our next video. We're going to give you more value, more information, and don't forget to purchase our products online at assuredmannaturals.com. There you can get 15% off when you use code Lapeef15, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ladies love the skin. Ow. Bring it a little bit closer. The good skin, that is. That's why having a proper skincare routine is very important, and you need to feel the teach. The process is so easy, just 4 steps. You got your daily face wash. That's going to clean your face up nice and right. You got your exfoliator scrub. That's going to open up your pores. You got your AM moisturizer with the SPM 20, which is going to protect you from the sun. You also got your PM moisturizer, which is going to make sure your skin is protected throughout the night. Tej has tons of reviews from dedicated customers across the world. I know I said a lot, but it's okay, because guess what? It comes with an instruction card to explain to you in detail what to do morning and night. And because Tej is a sponsor, they're offering my family 30% off along with a free gift. Just click that link that's in the description and feel the Tej. What's going on, family? What's going on? How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me okay?
We good. What's up, brother? What's going on?
Hold on, we got a little. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We good, man.
Okay.
We good.
Pink, you was holding on.
Struggle streaming over here. Currently mobile right now, so trying to see if I can get it together. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, you good.
All right.
But Jay, I got a question for you. Should I hit you in the back chat about the product? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's me in the back chat. Okay, I think I'm good now. All right, I'm good. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to King Talk. It's good to see you guys. Glad you are in attendance. Shout out to all my Green Gang that's in the chat. And me, I see you, Big Pressure. Lord Geotron, Dale Matthew. I see we got the ladies in there. What's going on, Erica? How you doing? Shout out to the sponsor, Tej Hanley, Uncomplicated Skincare for Men. 30% off along with a free gift. That link is in the description. So make sure you guys click that link and feel the Tej, as I always say. Also, we got the beard products. Pre-orders are now turned off and we are active. So we are shipping 3 to 5 business days. Just go ahead and get your Assured products. That link is pinned to the top of the chat. It's a phenomenal product. I'm using it right now. I know Hank placed the order. That's what he was asking me about. Just send me the message back there and I'll respond to you. Let you know.
No, you said it already. I didn't know when it was supposed to ship out. So.
Okay, yeah. Yours should be shipped out. It should have been shipped out today. If not, then by tomorrow morning. Okay. I know that was the conversation today. So, all right. With that being said, make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do got a couple icebreakers, man. that I'm gonna go ahead and put out right now. I'm gonna play this clip. Just get your immediate thoughts. We ain't gotta spend too much time on it. This was sent by Elise. So shout out to Elise for sending this.
Who get mad at me for cheating on you when I told you that my grandma died? Oh, so a brother can't grieve no more?
Exactly. You speaking facts.
A female that has standards is a dangerous woman.
I've been saying that.
Right. That's so true.
Let me ask you a question, shorty. How many bodies you got?
Only one.
Whoa! Down! Ew! And you trying to be a what? Ew! Asking me to be your boyfriend after 17 years of a situationship is crazy, bro.
You not ready, bro. It's fine.
Trust issues. Exactly. I got trust issues. I need a woman that has no bodies, but she needs to be experienced.
As a female, I get so annoyed when other girls wear makeup. Like, why are you wearing makeup?
Yo. She one of the good ones.
Yup, she is.
You gotta protect this girl at all costs.
Right.
I can't stand a female that wear makeup like
Catfish.
Exactly. Like, you deceitful now. Like, come on now. I like my women natural.
Now, LaFrederick, you opening up a big can of worms, my brother.
No. Let's open it. Let's
Open it up.
No,
Open it
let's
up.
open it. We gonna open it up. All right, let me get the question. Should females get the same pay rate as males?
Messy.
You said the same?
Stop it.
I'm done. Which one of y'all put this question in here?
All right, look, icebreaker, man. What do you guys thoughts about it? Is that what it looks like outside looking in?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, kinda.
I think she's pulling a lot of different ones into one. I think we all have been guilty of saying at least one of those things on one of these shows. But I think she's just putting them all on the one show. I don't think I've ever heard all of that shit said. Well, no, there is one show I can think of where all that shit has at least been said at least once. I mean, shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it was just corny. I mean, but it's just what some of these content creators look like, though. She did a good job of mimicking some of these content creators because they corny as hell, and that's how some of them look, man. And so you wonder why they're lonely. Well, they show it by some of the things they say and do, how they handle themselves, man. I see why you lonely than a motherfucker.
A lot of times people do have the same talking points, right? A lot of things that she mentioned. This particular content creator actually does this a lot about, what she calls alpha male podcasts. So a lot of people do ask the same things. Like a lot of stuff she said, body count, whether it's, a woman's pay. It seems like everybody's just reading from the same book. I mean, even me, I'm guilty of some of those questions, but at least I would say I try to get to the bottom of things, the whys and, stuff like that. I don't want it to, because the one thing I don't like to be is like everybody else. You understand that there is certain things that are going to get you in the algorithm, but then at the same time, you don't want to be like everybody because it's just echo chambers, right? Nobody gets anything out of that. And when you start to all sound the same, people are definitely going to lose interest because it's corny. Like, who wants to keep hearing the same thing over and over and over? You're not. What's the end game, right? We tell women about this who behave in that manner, right? We say, what's the end game? Where are you leading people to, right? Or are you just going to berate these women? Or are you just going to dog them out? Or are you actually trying to get to the bottom of it? Are you trying to get them to understand the male point of view? And a lot of times you have to understand how people are going to receive it, right? And we could talk to each other. We already know all the problems with women. We have to get through to women, right? So if they don't understand what it is and they won't receive us because we don't know how to engage with them, then it's just going to be a vicious cycle. So we have to be able to talk to them in a way that they can understand and at least want to listen to you, because you know how that goes. A lot of times women don't want to hear what a man has to say. So you have to be careful as how you articulate that information to them.
I was gonna say, you asked what's the end goal? A lot of them get paid a whole lot of money to do it, and they come in. It's the same show, same format, week in and week out, and they super chats be ridiculous. So, I mean, we know why they do it. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same formula. We all follow it at some point. You know what I mean? It works. It works to get a lot of people to go. You know what I mean? But I would hope that that's not what we're doing over here. You know, I would hope that we're trying our best to get through to women and men alike. But yeah, as far as what's going on in that regard of what she's making fun of, we know what it does. That's how you wind up seeing a show where they invite the same type of women on there week in and week out. And it just gets the crowd going and they upset at the women who get on that show and they like to see that content. So until that becomes until that becomes obsolete, they're gonna keep getting paid off of it because they love the content.
I think they forgot some. I think she forgot some.
What you got in mind?
Hey, how y'all feel about women? I love women. Simp. Hey, if would you help your hold the door open for a woman? Yeah, I'm gonna look out for him. Weak beta male, or let me see. Oh,
you ain't gonna have sex on the first date?
yeah. I had sex on the first date because I had a vibe. Oh, see, this is the logic of these women. Or yeah. Oh, you like women? Like women? Nigga, you gay. That's the last one. I heard. If you like women, you gay. That's the last one. Nigga, you gay.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, relationship talk. We can't hear you. I got you on mute. Let me take you off. All right, go ahead.
I think the number one peace is blessed to everyone. I think the number one thing that we hear is what do you bring to the table? I'll bring enough on. I think that's like the number one thing we've all been guilty of asking, especially across a lot of podcasts and that women complain about that, the shoe was on the other foot. Um, and it crawls up their skin the same way that they respect us to bring to the table. They hate that we literally ask it. We literally just talked about this the other day. It just gets in their shoes. It just crawls in their skin like parasites when we ask them what they bring to the table and they can't answer it. And I think that's the number one thing that we have ammunition to ask that they don't really ask it that much, but they say that we ask it a lot and we talk about it through our shows.
Like that. All right, anybody else got anything you want to add on it? Icebreaker? All right, going once, going twice. Go ahead, Sweeney. You want to say something?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, shout out to Kelly. Kelly was the one that sent that to me, so she thought it'd be a good icebreaker for King Talk. So shout out to you. And I got another icebreaker that I picked as well.
I think G's got
Red
one.
flag that's not talked about enough is men who boo-hoo cry at their weddings. Why are you crying that hard? Like, all that tells me is that you did some shady stuff during the whole relationship and you literally cannot believe that this girl is still choosing to marry you. That's all that tells me.
Okay, Andrea.
I think a red flag that's not talked about enough is men who boo-hoo cry at their weddings. Why are you crying that hard? Like, all that tells me is that you did some shady stuff during the whole relationship and you literally cannot believe that this girl is still choosing to marry you. That's all that tells me.
All right, sweet. Don't be starting no stuff, man. Don't start no stuff, man. The HR report was already long enough. But is that true? Is that why men cry?
Hell no, man.
Man, we just recorded this video watching this damn shit. I was like, yo, this like, so basically what she's saying is that's the red flag. That means she won't want to get a divorce right afterwards. So I'm like, yo, it's like that's you want the man to cry because at least he's showing his emotions and showing feelings that you want, right? That's what this emotional intelligence shit about. But it's crazy, man. We men can't do nothing these days.
Godly.
Look, I think it's that woman in particular, to be honest, man. I don't think that most women are like, oh, most women when they watch it, they be like, oh, not like that. Like this woman, she's got to be an outliner. This is just somebody who just really doesn't get it, right? And that's the whole thing. We talked about this before, where women really don't want to afford you the opportunity to be emotional. You don't have a safe space. You can't express yourself in that manner. And that's why men behave so harsh and alpha male and everything else, because we can't talk to women like a certain way. We can't behave a certain way. Once we decide to become emotional, some women like this will view you as soft. And that's crazy. The dude probably is like, damn, I can't believe it. I got the love of my life. Like, I'm going to be so happy. I can't wait to, spend the rest of my life with this woman. Like, it's a joyous moment. And sometimes your emotions might get the best of you, right? And it doesn't mean that you soft. You're just having a moment. You know what I mean? It's not like how you handling hard situations and you're breaking under pressure. You just feeling an emotion and you decided to express it in that way. And I don't see how that would make you soft. If I saw one of my homeboys crying at their wedding, I'm like, cool. And guess what? A lot of my homeboys did cry at their wedding, right? And it ain't nothing wrong with that. There's such a thing as tears of joy. Why the hell we can't express ourselves as men? Not all of us behave that way, but some of us are just conditioned by society to be so hard, pause, because we're not allowed to behave that way. Like, come on, what we doing?
Hey, Trey, thoughts for one.
Well, the thing about it, man, we don't know what the situation was why that man was crying. That man's mother may no longer be there and is not able to be at the wedding because she's deceased. Or maybe the father's deceased. Whatever reason, you never know. You know what I'm saying? You never know, what's going through a man's mind or head or heart during that situation. He may have been through a whole lot in his life and didn't realize he was going to ever get to that point of possibly being married. Maybe he was a man whore, and now he found the Lord and changed his ways and all that good stuff, and now he's ready to settle down and be with this woman only. You never know what a man's going through. Or maybe he's crying because it's over for that his neighbor he used to knock down at the apartment complex. I don't know. She has a wet nana and he gonna miss it.
Oh, hey, look, dirty man. Anybody else got anything on this?
Hold on.
Yes,
Go ahead, bro.
it sounds like some things like, all right, you ever heard the saying like, once the street, if you in the street, you always in the street. Like there's a way that like a man can like turn his ways around, and it's like to the public's eye for a man, like they feel like. And when we talking about as far as the man expressing his feelings, like as far as some crying is concerned, the thing is, in my opinion, women's when they say they want a man with emotional intelligence, but when the time comes to rise, they're not ready for a man with emotional intelligence. An example is this: I saw this video today, Birdman. There was a video of him going back and forth with his sister-in-law at the family table, and she brought, "Why are you so rough when you're a really nice person. You're really a sweet person, like behind closed doors. Why can't you just soften up a little bit with your wife?" And he says, "Well, why I got that? She got everything that she ever wanted. So what does that got to do with you and me?" She says, "He all rough on the edges right now." But my thing is this: it's in men's nature to be in that position because they were never put in an environment where they made it comfortable for them to be able to open up. And a lot of men, it's safe to say that the moment that happens, if they try to do that, let a situation arise later on where in, they bring those things, those deep dark secrets and stuff like that. When you bring up a deep dark secret, that's the man opening up to you. That's part of your emotional intelligence, being able to open up to um, the opposite sex. So when something happens later on down the line, y'all get into an argument, then they bring it up and use it against you, and then it makes a man feel insecure and regretful and resentment that he finally let his guard off. He thinks he let his guard off by opening up, and now it's biting him in the ass. such thing as crying.
All right. Anybody got anything on this?
Y'all know how they always say that every dark cloud has a silver lining? I think this is one of those situations where someone has to find a negative in everything, even if it's supposed to be beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to find, and that's what she reminds me of. She reminds me of one of those people that find a negative in everything that is done, everything that is said, even if it means a man crying at his wedding. She is never, this type of person isn't used to seeing any good in men, so they assume the worst anytime we do anything. If he's taking care of you, oh, he's being financially abusive. If he's crying at the wedding, he must have done you dirty in the past. If he buys you something, it must be because he did something wrong. And to be honest, fellas, those are the type of women you want to avoid. Those who find a negative in everything that you do. Because I don't think this is all women. I don't think, you know what I mean? I think one of those scenarios where it's actually a pass for a man to cry is at his wedding. In fact, we've heard women say it. I give men passes, weddings, funerals, you know what I mean, deaths in the family. Those are typically the things that women tend to give us a pass on. I think we are all in agreement to that. So for her to literally find a problem and the one thing that we actually cry in it just screams hurt.
So it sounds like you cried at your wedding, bro.
Actually, no, man.
Nah,
oh man, I'm not a crier, bro.
Yeah, I ain't cry either, man. I was like, all right, man.
I think the last time I cried was when my grandmother passed. And then the time before that, I cried when my mama kicked me out.
Yeah. I tried to
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna say I'm with you. The last time I tried to save somebody's life and it didn't work, and they ended up dying on me while I was trying to pull them out the wreckage, and the family blamed me for not being able to save them because they was like, "You help us with everything, and you couldn't do this." And I was like, "Shit, it's a fucking like 2,000-pound stone. I couldn't lift that shit off of them." And then I just was like, "Damn!" I felt like she was blaming me. I started internalizing it. Like, damn, maybe if I would have just got something to leverage it, that I could have maybe. But it wasn't like a boo-hoo. It was like a couple, like 4 or 5 tears. Just think about this shit.
God damn, Marcus.
You counted them, Marcus?
You said what?
I said you counted the tears, Marcus? God damn.
It was just a couple that fell down. Like, because I was looking in the opposite direction. I was talking to my uncle and them about it. I'm like, damn, how the fuck she blaming me for this shit? Like, I set up a GoFundMe for her. I rushed into the motherfucking wreckage to help. I did everything and still got blamed. I was like, God damn.
But you know, you can't take that personally because sometimes when people are in that much anguish, right? Like it's just going to be one of them situations. Anybody who they interact with, right? Any contact, it's going to be bad, right? Because they just don't know. They want to blame God. They want to blame you. They want to blame everybody anybody who interacted them with that day. Well, damn, if you wouldn't have stopped them, they wouldn't have been even in that. So it's nothing you could do to really stop that. That pain, it just got to go somewhere. Hopefully you've been able to speak to them after that. But I would gather that they don't feel like that anymore. Yeah.
She apologized and say she didn't feel like I talked to her. She told me I just help her with everything, and she thought I would have been able to do more, and she just was hurt. So she was just hurt, and I understood that.
But question: instead of her apologizing, was she able to actually literally, vocally say, basically like express her disregard for your feelings?
No, she said she was like, I can't believe I said that. I don't think that about you. I don't mean that. You just helped me with everything. So I just wanted you in that moment to be able to do something. And I was like, I understand that.
Damn, Marcus, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. They hit me in the feels right there, man.
Yeah. I was like a week. I was eating that shit. I'm like, man, if I probably would have been lifting more weights, I probably could have, because the scaffolding fell. Not scaffolding. Like in Chicago, how the stone buildings is.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up falling and hitting the porch, a second floor porch, and then falling from there when they were sitting on the porch. And then because one of the things I was thinking, like, damn, I was concerned for my kids. I'm like, this shit dangerous as hell. While I'm in here trying to pull him out, this shit could fall on my head too. So I was moving kind of cautiously. So I kind of was like, damn, maybe if I would have just, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if? I know I really couldn't have moved that shit, but I wasn't really thinking that way. You know what I'm saying? And when it was happening. And then she hit me with that, and I'm like, damn. Because I felt like I had some concern for my own life when I rushed in there. I felt like, man, maybe she right. Maybe it is some more stuff I could have done. But I was being more cautious than I needed to be. Because I sat there with him until he got crushed. Because it was 4 people who got injured. 2 ended up dying. 1 was crushed under the second floor, like the floor, like it's the like, you know how the porches go in the city where they come out like this, and then you have the cement part. 1 was crushed under the cement because when it fell, it trapped him under it. And then there was 1 in the side. So I wedged my body up in the side and was trying to keep it off him down. Like maybe I pushed it onto the other one too. Like I was just going through it, trying to figure out how could I save their life. It wasn't nothing I could do though. Like in reality, I would have had to been like actually Superman or some shit. But yeah, that shit hurt when she said that shit. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother, man. But based off what I'm hearing, man, it sounds like you gave it your best effort. So that's what you got to take away from it, man, no matter what nobody else say. And I think Sweeney and the rest of the people had a good point when they say that in that moment, it was just a lot going on. And the fact that they came back and apologized, they did realize it. But shout out to all the families and people that was involved. You know, our condolences. And as far as I'm concerned, you're a hero, man.
But
yeah. I mean, shit, we human, man. I know we watch these movies, man. You know, we do what we can do.
Man, so. I just couldn't imagine being in that position, man. Like that, god damn.
Yeah. If you guys just tuned in, welcome to King Talks. Make sure we hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, 1 super chat came through. Eric says, salute to my brothers 189. I want to thank you for that donation. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and share the stream, man. We're about to ready to dive into this emotional intelligence, the importance of it. I did break it down into 3 different parts. So if it's something else that you guys want to add in the chat on the back end for us to break down and discuss, or any questions, feel free to put that in there, and I'll see if we can get to it. And let's go ahead and get to it, man. Y'all click that link that's pinned to the top of the chat. Go ahead and get your beard gang in order. I know Hink's package is on the way. Sugar Curls is in there, so we're going to make sure we get you right, Hink. Don't worry about it. All right, our first clip and topic that I want to discuss surrounding emotional intelligence is where emotional intelligence starts.
Reason people are jumping into relationships with strangers is because they're strangers to themselves.
Come on.
When we have a conversation about emotional intelligence, it always and almost immediately gets steered into romantic relationship. Emotional intelligence, before it's for anyone else, is for self.
For self.
If you are thorough with how you know you and how you operate, then you start to understand how you relate to other people, things, and places around you. Even before y'all get intimate, you understand how much space you take up. You know what I'm saying? And when you understand how much space you take up, you don't go anywhere that you don't think you could fit. You know your measurements. You feel me?
Facts.
People don't know how much space they take up, big or small. I'm not saying it's any type of appropriate space. So you get into this relationship with this person and you don't even know your own seasons, let alone that other person's. So you start thinking changed or that they done did this when you don't know that it's you that's shifting the entire time. It's been you, and it's not a bad thing. It's that you just haven't tracked the patterns in your life, because we all have them. And until you know your patterns and your seasons, bruh, there is no way for you to start tricking your mind and hacking your, you know what I'm saying? You have to have some type of self, like, you don't have to have done all the work, but most people not even self-aware in the relationship. All they know is just performance. You can't teach.
But that's a good point, because if you don't have the awareness of self, you won't have social awareness.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into where emotional intelligence starts. Play the video to kind of get us going with it. What are your thoughts about it? We're going to start with you, Trev.
Yeah. I think you made some solid points in this particular situation. To me, it's pretty much a frame of mind, right? You do become self-aware. You learn yourself, and you have to come to an understanding about yourself, and it's going to be universal. So it'll help you in the workplace, right? You'll understand people. You'll learn how to negotiate, right? You'll understand the hierarchy. You'll understand different personalities. It'll work in your family life just the same. And it's going to translate into a relationship. But it's all a frame of mind. And you see the people who are just wired a certain way, right? People who can't get along with people can't get along with nobody. It'd be the same people who have very few friends or no friends. It'd be the same dudes who can't get along at the workplace and keep getting fired, and they blame it on everybody else. Oh, it's your fault. It's your fault. Oh, they don't like me over there. They hating on me. And you'd be like, well, damn, you don't know how to deal with people, right? And that's the interpretation that I get from it when I think of emotional intelligence, right? Because regardless whether you're in a relationship or not, you're still dealing with emotions. You're going to have to know how you receive things, how this person receives things. So you have to have just a general understanding of people, and it's going to help you in every aspect of your life or hurt you in every aspect of your life. But it's something that you have to at least try to master and continue to work on, because you're going to always continue to grow, right? And you might think you know it all. Like when I was in my 20s, I thought I had it, right? You get to that invincible age where you feel like you know so much. But then by the time you get to 30, you be like, damn, I didn't know nothing when I was 20. You get to 40, you're like, damn, I still ain't know shit when I was 30, right? So, and I'm probably going to feel like that again if I'm fortunate enough to get to 50, where I'm like, damn. So it has to be something where you just recognize it requires a level of humility for you to understand that you don't understand enough for you to be able to want to grow in the first place. I'll leave it there for now.
So, Trev, would you consider yourself being self-aware?
For the most part, definitely not perfect, but I'm pretty analytical just by nature. I feel like I'm a problem solver by nature, and it's something that I work on, right? There's definitely some work to be done, but for the most part, I don't have many problems with people. I don't have a lot of beefs with people. And, I'm comfortable with myself. I know where it is that I need to improve, and I strive to do it. So I'd say so for the most part.
I got another follow-up question. When you're in situations, do you look for right and wrong? Like, is that a such
Sometimes,
thing to you?
yeah.
So there's a such thing
Yeah.
as somebody's being right, somebody's being
I do
wrong.
believe. At the same time, I definitely understand perspectives, right? So let's just say I'm looking at a conflict and I'm outside of it. I'm like, okay, well, let's try to see where this person is coming from. How did they get to this point, right? No matter how I do, whether I'm talking to somebody, whether I'm conducting an interview, no matter what, I say, look, let me find out what's the root of this. What kind of a childhood did you have, right? Who are you around? What are your peers like? What circumstances are you dealing with, right? Where are you are you close to the poverty line? All of these little nuances have effect on how you're going to behave as a human being. So all of that is important, but you have to be self-aware and you have to want to learn about it.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I have some more questions. I'm gonna go to you, Hank. What are your thoughts about it?
I'm down.
I didn't know Trey's gonna say something else. Was you good, Trey?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm just saying whenever everybody go, if you got some more questions, I'm with it. But you go ahead, Hank. You straight.
Okay. So what was your question again, Jay? I'm sorry. Where's
where emotional intelligence starts, and we had a little bit of the video to give us a little bit of context. The follow-up question I just had for him was he self-aware, and how did he know? My next follow-up question was going to be, how does he know he's self-aware? But he said he's pretty honest and said that for the most part, but he's not perfect.
So where emotional intelligence happened for me was just really paying attention to my uncle in his barbershop and watch how everything went down. I used to, my uncle used to, when my dad, when my parents got divorced, he told me to start coming over to the barbershop because he knew, I was starting to turn a different direction because of my behavior and how I was taking things. And I'm sure my mom called him and let him know, his grades started slipping school, his attitude started to be bad. So, he allowed me to come over there to the barbershop and sweep, usually about 3 to 4 days a week, especially on weekends and usually 2 days during the week. And I would just sit back and just watch and pay attention. And when you go to a barbershop, you're gonna have all type of things come to, all type of attitudes, personalities, and everything. Sweeney, I'm sure you know this, to the point where you're gonna have some conflicts, either with customers or maybe even amongst the barbers. So I've watched where he was able to handle 2 dudes about to damn near get into a gunfight in his barbershop, watching all of this, paying attention to all this, and see how he handled it. So I learned my emotional intelligence about how he handled certain situations that he handled in a barbershop. I also learned it from my grandfather when he had to handle different situations where he, lost a friend, a family member, how he was able to emotionally deal with the issues. I watched how he had to go through and deal with prostate cancer. That's why I always share with men, talk about, getting a prostate and colonoscopy. And I watched how he handled it, and and it allowed me to learn those things. And so those things I learned and watched and paid attention to, and also was able to put in practice. Because of course, you go through things in your life that people's going to definitely test you. Whether it's relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's dealing with college teammates, professors and just co-workers or whatever the case may be. You're always going to be tested with it. So it's all about how you handle it. So.
All right, I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and go to you, James. What are your thoughts about the way emotional intelligence starts self-awareness?
Man, honestly, I think this is just the new buzzword that's going around, and a lot of people kind of jumping on the bandwagon about it. Because, man, if you really think about it, we've been doing this since we was kids, we was babies, right? You remember falling, you watch your kids, they fall, right? And then as soon as if you say, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" Okay, they start crying, they start going crazy, and then stuff like that. But if you say, "Hey, just get up," or ignore them, they just like, "All right, cool," you know what I'm saying? Like, I just get up. You know what I mean? So we start like understanding how people's emotions work at a young age, and it's all ingrained with us. Only thing I think is important, because he did make some valid points with understanding yourself. But if we are already doing that, because most guys will tell a woman like, "Hey, I'm a dog. You don't want me type of a guy like me," or you can kind of see what's going on. But I think we put too much thought into getting into a relationship rather than just getting there and really working this stuff out. Just make the deal, get in the relationship. Hey, all right, cool. She doesn't work. I remember Marcus a couple of shows ago was talking about he was looking for a certain type of woman. You just got to look for that certain type of woman and make sure that woman fits what you got going on, and then we good. But we doing too much talking rather than action. And then once all the plans are drawn up, we got all these books, we got the architect and everything. But then when we start digging, we quit the job. So that I think that's what's going on in a lot of relationships, and that's not getting us to the next level.
All right. I am curious to hear what Marcus got to say since he brought your name up. I was going to say something, but I got a feeling you're going to go against it. So I want to hear you first.
So I think so. So I always said that all our external problems are a reflection of our internal struggles, right? So whatever you dealing with externally and how you deal with it is a direct reflection of what you're dealing with on the inside. If you having the best day in the world and somebody step on your shoes, you can play that off. But if you're having the worst day in the world, somebody step on your shoes, you're gonna extremely lash out. And knowing that about yourself, you can kind of cater to when because he said a couple things that I keyed in, and it was pointed to me when he was talking about hacking. Like, so I try and do like a positivity hack to almost every situation I come into, but that's understanding where my mind is at, understanding the things that can affect me, things I should avoid, and part of that being like emotionally intelligent or whatever is it does start with yourself, because once you know, like, hey, when they get to talking about this part of racism, that's gonna blow me. So I either engage in this conversation or remove myself from the conversation in a way that I don't feel like it's going to be bothersome to me. So it's prevention and foresight, knowing that it will go that way. Um, making sure I measure my words so that I don't create a contentious situation where I'll be battling somebody and it can get to the point where violence can escalate. So he didn't just say within like dating relationships. So I was thinking about it. So from like 9 to 25, emotional intelligence for me was a form of survival because I was looking at everybody as threat or non-threat, threat or non-threat. And I would have, you got to really be able to read people to see, because sometimes people are backdoor you, sometimes people real shifty, sometimes XYZ. So, and really just studying people, I start really observing like the behaviors that they don't say and the energy that they carry. It speak volumes. Somebody shake your hand and don't feel like they want to shake your hand, it's because they really got some bullshit, like real bullshit for you, and you just don't know it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like real bullshit. And the next phase for me was when I got with a girl who actually tried to love me, and I wasn't in a position to be loved because I was emotionally devoid. I like was there, but I wasn't present. So all the good and shit she was doing for me, I couldn't accept it the right way because I wasn't reciprocating it because I didn't really know how. And I ended up ruining that relationship, right? And then from there, I took a year off and worked on myself. So when I knew exactly what I wanted from moving forward, so I knew what to look for and to find it. Because when you get treated by really well by somebody and you don't return that energy, if you have some self-reflection, you're gonna feel like a piece of shit. You're gonna be like, this person really was riding for me. This person was there for me. Did absolutely nothing to hurt me. And all I did was cheat. All I did was lie. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't because I was mad at that person or didn't like that person. It had everything to do with the way I view male and female relationships. If cheating the game, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get over on you before you get over on me. Kind of similar to how it sounds, how people in the space are currently. The problem is when you meet somebody that's actually going to be there for you, that's actually going to love you, operating in this space will ruin that relationship, and you may not get another chance to have that in your life. So all of that stuff comes with self-reflection, though, taking personal accountability, seeing what you are responsible for and how you can alter the things you're responsible for. Yeah. But I think it could start at an early age or it could start tomorrow. It just depends on where you are in your journey in life.
I want to ask this question, and this may not be personally what you've experienced, but I'm thinking of a situation where, let's say a marriage or engagement, a serious relationship where one person may be more emotional intelligent than the other. And even though I know you said, James, that it should be simple, I do think that there are some people that just don't get it. You ever been talking to somebody and you feel so strong about your view on what's happening, and you're trying to let them know what it is, but they're just not receiving it for some reason. They just, either they receiving it and they don't want to budge, or they just don't get it. So then you find yourself, as Marcus said, having to adjust, understanding what those trigger words are, understanding how to get whatever it is you need to get to them for them to be able to receive it. But at some point in time, does it ever get draining, Marcus? Like, do you ever get tired of being like the bigger person, to being the one that's the most emotional intelligent, so to speak, in that situation? Like, how do you handle a relationship like that? Because it may be something that you thought was all good and it may have been discovered later on in the marriage. And so it might just be something, because sometimes chemicals do become imbalanced. And so somebody may be on track and all of a sudden something happened where it could be a death, or where it could be maybe a situation within the relationship and something that would just throw everything off. And so now you have to recalibrate what's currently happening and sort through it because you're too far in now. So how do you handle that?
That's great. Because that actually I could see happening. So I was talking about this before when I was saying I never fired nobody for what they did, the way they brain thought, right? So if I kind of understand the way you process information and the way that you come to a conclusion, then I can understand if this is just something that's a one-off, it's an action that happened in the moment, like a death, like a chemical imbalance, because this is completely outside of the way you come to your conclusion. Then it's something that could be worked on. But if it's the way you formulate thoughts, and this was always going to be the end result of the way your brain process works, then it could be an issue. Like, so an example would be you trying to be there for somebody and they normally are very supportive of you. They normally like a fan. They want to share in your progress and success with you, right? And then now, just out the blue, they're depressed when you tell them good news, and they don't want to, they can't cheer for you the right way. It might be something they really going through, and you could take, you know what I'm saying, you could take that with a grain of salt and help them work with it. But if anytime you have good news and you bring it to them, you feel like that it depresses them. Anytime something's going well for you, they're not happy for you, or they're cheering against you. That's a way of thinking. That's somebody you got to get, you got to separate from until the day at a point where they can actually appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table. But you got to be able to read the signs and determine which one is, this is how that person thinks about things, or this is an instance that this person is thinking that way. You get what I'm saying? I hope I answered
Yeah,
that.
so JR, I just to kind of add to that point, I think the emotional intelligence is the one part of it, right? But then for what you were explaining, you also need two more things. You need the willingness to want to help a person like that, and the patience. So your emotional intelligence would be your understanding. So you know how to do it. But like you said, it could be draining. So you have to feel like what that person offers is worth it enough, how severe it is. So I spoke about this before, but the more damaged one person is, the more emotional intelligence you require, and the more patience and willingness you require, because that's a lot of work, right? And there are some people who are just empaths who can, will never tire doing that, because it's actually doing them a service as well. But not all of us are built like that. Most of us aren't. So it's pretty taxing sometimes when you're dealing with someone like Marcus is describing, where, you're bringing them good news and they just like, so what? Or what you mean? Like, it's some people who you can try to give a compliment to, not even a backhanded compliment, and they will take it as an insult. And you're like, damn. So you have to really dig in to try to understand where this person is from. And you find yourself patronizing them, right? And you're trying to patronize them in such a way where they don't notice that you're patronizing them, but you're just really trying to effectively communicate with them. So that could be taxing as hell.
I give him a great example. I was gonna say, JR, because I was gonna say similar to what Trev had said, but it's kind of like you ever like took a quiz and you read the question and then you answered it, and then you seen another question like later on down, and then you was like, hold on, that reminded me of that question, and then you reread that question again, and it was like, oh, that's what it was talking about. So a lot of times it can be a similar to that type of conversation, right? Because a lot of times people will confuse what you're saying or what you're doing, and you being a more intelligent, emotional intelligent person, you can look at her and say, hey, I see what's going on, or she can look at you and say, hey, you're not understanding what's going on. But you, like he said, you got to be patient and just teach her, hey, this is how you read the question. You read it in this way. No, you're supposed to be reading it like that. And they might have some pushback at the beginning, but later on, once they start seeing, okay, I got success with this. Okay, yeah, I got the answer right. All right, cool. And then eventually you won't have that problem no more, the issue.
Look, to tap on the Trev and James point, I'm sorry, Jay, just real quick, to tap on their point, it's ironic because Trev said that in order to heal, like when somebody has severe trauma, it's going to require an extremely patient person to give a whole lot of grace and work through all of this stuff. In the dating world, the weird thing about that is the people who have the tool set to actually get there can demand a higher price, so they won't even have to deal with the person with all of that trauma, as opposed to the people who have all the trauma needing to deal with another person who has that trauma. And it creates a negative cyclical loop of them fighting each other and getting a constant toxic type of relationships. It's ironic that it actually works that way. So when I be saying that every woman can be fixed, and it depends on the type of patience, grace, and skill set you have in order to fix and sift through all of that trauma and get that person to the root cause. And most people don't have it. Most people, and the people that do have it, 9 times out of 10 are emotionally intelligent enough to see key indicators in people and avoid those people. Like there are a lot of good people out here, men and women. It's a lot of great men and there's a lot of great women out here. They have indicators and they see people and avoid you. If you're not coming in contact with great people, it's a good chance they are avoiding you. They see you for who you are and avoid you. I just need you to understand what I'm saying. If you see somebody that's going to be begging when you get out the car, they don't have to ask you for money before you go the other way if you don't want to speak to them. if you see somebody driving crazy on the street and they like, damn, the crazy driver got a clear path. It's because people get to the left lane and get out your way. It works that same way with good and great people. When you operating in good energy and great energy, you want to attract people in that same energy. And the people that don't see you coming across them is because your energy is repelling them, and they can see that from a mile away. So that's why, like if you operate in positivity seems to find you. And it's the same with negativity. It's the exact same with negativity.
Marcus, you're right about that, because right now, oh, my bad, Sweeney. Real quick, though.
I
find myself doing that now more than ever, because I understand who takes away from me. And I have so much that I'm trying to do, trying to accomplish and get better at. And there are so many other people that I'm already trying to pour into that I start to manage it differently. People who will suck the energy out of you, I avoid them. I don't want that at all. I keep them out of my life now. I'm like, oh, hell no. I already see, you too needy for me. I can't do it. And I really like to help people. I really do. But not at the expense of myself anymore. My bad, Sweet.
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of like touch on the point that Marcus made. I will say this. I think most people have a functioning level of emotional intelligence, but we are tested every single day. And when you're tested every single day, there are elements of emotional intelligence that you falter in. So for instance, you may be self-aware, but you may lack empathy, you know what I mean, depending on who you encounter. You may be empathetic, but sometimes you just aren't self-aware when it's something that you like. If it's something that you strongly feel you're strong about, you may be lack the self-awareness to understand that you may be the problem in that situation because you're so headstrong on the fact that I know I'm right. I know I'm in this situation. I know I got to be right. So I think we all have a functioning level of emotional intelligence, because if to be real, if we didn't, this world would be a much worse place. So we all have to function. But we are testing. I think there are elements of our emotional intelligence where we falter. They're like, what I mean? We see it every day in these conversations where how do you get a group of men and a group of women to have a conversation on a panel, right? And somehow all the men understand each other. And then all the women understand each other. But we don't understand one another. And it's just nothing's crossing over. You know what I mean? I've seen that plenty of times on these panels where it's like, man, I know you ain't no way you can't tell me you don't understand where we're coming from. You know what I mean? And I think it took me being in the shop with my wife and hearing women's stories for me to finally understand, like, damn, hey, shit, sometimes we can do some fuck shit as men. But then that's what I try to get women to understand when we on these panels is like, hey, if you can understand that this happens to you in this aspect, and you have a whole bunch of lady friends and things like that could tell you that you go to and they tell you all these stories. Don't you think that we have the same stories about women going through our minds? And that's where the empathy comes into play. Is that, okay, if I feel this about y'all and you're telling me there's some things that we're doing wrong on our part, then that's where the empathy and everything really comes into play. But most of the time we falter. It's easy to take sides. It's easy to be self-absorbed. It's easy to not regulate your emotions. It's easy to not be empathetic. It's, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's hard, but that's the things we're trying to do on these panels, man. We're trying to come to an understanding. But to Marcus' point, regarding patience, I also believe that we all have a degree of patience. But also to Marcus' point, we have a point where we're no longer patient. There's a point where you get to it because all of us dealt with somebody that we were extremely patient with, and it didn't push us over the edge, but we were patient enough with their trauma, their problem. Because the thing is, first of all, we're Black. So we understand that we both come from some level of traumas, you know what I mean? Some type of traumas or some type of historical context that gives us the understanding that, hey, look, I understand you may not be where exactly you're supposed to be at. So we give each other, but there's a certain level of patience that where our patience wear thin, and that goes on both sides. So I'm in agreement with you there. I think there's some people out there, and those people, do tend to get left alone. You have no choice but to either be by yourself or with somebody that's just as toxic as you. Because the reality is any normal person won't deal with you. Even if they do have patience. And they may not have so much patience, but they have enough patience to deal with the people that force them cross over that threshold.
All right, go ahead. Relationship talk with G's.
Hey, first and foremost, I wanted to thank you, Lapeef and Smooth, for allowing me to share this space with y'all. I think it's really awesome that a bunch of men that can get together and actually and show that together, as one force, can actually conversation and take one further step to a positive influence on planet Earth. And I say that to say that um, growing up as a kid, I would say that I became self aware once I started walking to elementary school. And at the age of 6, I was very aware and I saw things I would like to see vision. And one thing that's important that is, you know, I had very bad issues growing up as a child. And I grew up in a house full of women. Um, and inhabited a lot of those traits as far as impatience, as far as anger, and my mother my grandmother put me through childhood therapy. I listen. I was a kid. I used to have to get sent to Maryland to my uncle, the black belt uncle, to get my ass beat. And I just could never understand the of me. And when I went to therapy didn't help that either. And I'm speaking from my personal experience when I say what I'm getting ready to say. I had a female, and it was absolutely terrible. It was terrible because she couldn't relate to me. And what she was doing was, I thought when I was inside of these therapy sessions as a kid, I thought it was supposed to be a safe space for me to be able to open up. But the fact that everything was reciprocating back to her, it was going back to my mom. It was going back to my aunt, the people that I was speaking of. Then she brought them in the room, and then when she heard the things that I said, it's like she didn't want to speak to me, you know, and she just couldn't understand it. But speaking from a child's place, people don't understand that children, humans are most vivid in memory, in movement, and awareness when they are children. And this is very important for me to be put in therapy because what happens next may blow you. Switched my therapist. They switched my therapist at my request. I said, this is not working for you, therapist. This is me as a kid saying this. I said, I don't feel like this is going anywhere. I don't want to come here no more. They said, hold on 1 second. So one day she happened to not available. I guess maybe she wasn't working there no more. And I ended up with a new therapist. Now this guy, I guess he still was like a bit therapist. Like he was still like maybe in training. Therapist or no therapist. Sometimes just because you are, um, what do they call it? Uh, certified doesn't qualify for that individual. And this therapist that they gave me was a male therapist. And I had 3 sessions with him. And it was over. I said, you know what? I don't even know why I'm here. That was the best help as far as therapy in my life. And and what I got out of that is that I had a better experience with a male therapist. What the answer was, the lack of a father figure. because I didn't grow up with one. So I learned patience. I learned things about respect, and he gave me different perspectives from a man on observe better, analyze better, and take what I analyze, what looks right and what looks wrong, and walk through with grace and patience. And it made me be able to adapt with my mother more. It made me be able to adapt. It made me to be able to get respect more. My uncle used to come from Maryland, right? And they would be down there just to visit, right? Things that I would do on a normal, even if it would just me, no disrespect to my grandmother. I just answered normally. But he took it. He got up and he had to butt my ass because it was something that I didn't do that he didn't like. I didn't say yes, man, right? And I observed that after getting a couple hard knocks to me, you get what I'm saying? I started to get the picture as a therapist. This was all before my therapist, and it made me realize everything. And I started to have grace, and I started to be more self-aware, and more importantly, with I started making myself more open to figures that was in the family, which was my older cousins, which was my older uncles, and I grew a lot of my manhood, and I grew a my traits from those men, and it made me be able to learn and deal with um, humans better. It made me learn to deal with have respect for older people, and it made me have respect for women. Um, and growing up, it made me understand women's attitudes are. It made me grow to have patience to deal with them and to be self-aware within myself and to improve my attitude and improve my self-awareness and everything. It made me be more aware with people, and I learned that a step further on my next of my journey. When I worked my first full-time job fresh out of high school. I've been working since I was
Mm-hmm.
14. I did school programs during the summertime. I played the trombone from the age of 8 to the end of high school. Started rapping when I was 17, 18 years old. So that was a phase in my journey. That music was therapy to me. I used to do composition and all that. It's like therapy, putting together songs for brass instruments and stuff like that. That was therapy to me. That was like that helped with me being more self aware.
Mm-hmm.
Made me be
So
more self.
so 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 geez, check this out. So you saying that your transition was like when you were about 14 years old?
My transition was the moment I left that male therapist, and that was about
Okay.
when I was
Yeah,
about
and I
like
could
18.
understand that because the main thing is that for real, you need a male figure in the household. That's pretty much what it all boils down to. Sometimes you need that example. In my particular situation, well, with my thoughts, I feel like it's much better if you have a dual parent household. You need that soft nurturer, that feminine person. You need the masculine. You need somebody to lead by example. You need to see that. You need to see that dynamic. And there's certain things, like you said, you ain't gonna learn from a woman. So I think that's where a lot of us are losing it today, right? So many of us grow up like that with just a single mom, and we're all pretty much doomed for that situation.
The biggest leadership role, the biggest test that I had was when I got my first full time job fresh out of high school at the airport. 3 months into there, they made me a supervisor, and I got to deal with 50 to I'll say like 100 plus workforce
Mm-hmm.
employees, both different, opposite gender, younger than me, uh, uh, almost 8 years, and got to learn from them, and they got to learn from me, and that was the next test as an adult to
Mm-hmm.
observe other humans, how to deal with the situation man of a situation of two
Right.
adults is having issues with each other and how to problem solve. And also, like, and my thing was other supervisors, they were just power heads. They was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're suspended, you're fired. My thing was,
Hey, G's.
huh?
Yeah, we can't be like too long. We got two more topics to get through, so just kind of wrap it up a little bit
Gotcha.
for me, please.
I got you. So my thing was, excuse me, I know I can be a little long with it. I work on that. My thing was, how can we as adults work together and problem solve and solution? So that was my biggest test, and that job pretty much saved my life.
Hmm. All right, that was kind of like a hard ending there. I thought you was going to kind of smooth it out. It kind of made it awkward for me as a moderator. I'm like, damn. I'm like, how did I come behind and say it like that? That's almost like when Marcus told this story earlier.
Hope that man to wrap it up.
I'm happy for my man broke, man. He learned on the job. The job allowed him to
Wrap it up.
So shout out to you.
Yeah.
You couldn't wrap it up no better, boy. He said, "Wrap it up." He came in hot, instant. He was like, "Over to wrap it up, I got you." Bam.
Yeah.
Hey, these guys are making fun of you, but I'm on your side, brother.
I'm with him. Like, because that was solid what he talked about. Because most of us aren't in those type of positions where you are over 80 to 100 people at once. I can only imagine. Like, I only have to deal with one person at a time every single day. I don't have to deal with 40 different people at once and try to manage all of that. I look at my schedule, I see who on it, I remember who it is, and that's how I deal when I'm on a personal basis. So yeah, that's powerful for you to be able to be a leader amongst many. You know what I mean? Rather than just being someone in your own bubble or your own circle.
Right on, brother. Right on.
I agree too. Hey, Cloud, I'm gonna go ahead and start the next topic, and I'm gonna come to you first. You good? Sound check.
Check.
Oh, yeah.
Before you start the next topic, JR, I think we definitely.
What we doing? Everybody in the car today? I need to go get in my truck.
I definitely think this is a perfect day to talk about what I sent in the King Talk chat.
I don't even know what you. I was looked through it. I'm just like, what did you send?
It was my last comment, so it was my last message. It was like 2 Instagram videos and then what I said afterwards.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I need you to find it because you got to pull up the video.
Okay. All right, I'll see if I can get to it. My bad.
Hey, Hank, I don't own any vehicle without a muffler delete, so I can't do any Derek Jackson videos.
I know that's right.
Right on, brother. All right, hit the like button, family. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Go ahead and get your man that Christmas gift that is Sure Naturals. It's pinned to the top of the chat. Go ahead and click that link. Also, make sure you go ahead and get that Teach pack. That is in the description. Let's get our skin in order as well. Moving on to our next topic of the night. That's associated with the importance of emotional intelligence. It is people who routinely shut down during conversation lack emotional intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip.
And say, all right, I can understand that you're not at the capacity to have this argument or this conversation with me, but when are you? Because when we go back and we circle back to shutting down, right, it's I'll have this conversation later or until I'm not mad anymore or if I'm not upset anymore, and then I'll just kind of like sweep it under the rug. And sometimes the frustration comes in when you're tired of people just sweeping things under the rug or your partner sweeping things under the rug and not like communicating. And this is why you yearn for that emotional intelligence. Let's talk about it. Let's fix this problem.
I like the fact that you spoke on shutting down. You'll hear a lot of people say I'm emotionally intelligent and one of their coping mechanisms or defense mechanisms is to shut down. Well, then you lack emotional intelligence if that's the case, because shutting down is part of your fight or flight. So that means that you don't have the ability in that moment to regulate whatever emotion it is that you're experiencing and to be able to be vocal about what you're experiencing. So that's not a part of emotional intelligence whatsoever.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Do people who routinely shut down during conversation lack emotional intelligence? We're going to go to you first, Cloud. What are your thoughts about that, sir?
I was a little conflicted about that. I think there's truth to the idea that if someone shuts down that they lack emotional intelligence, but I really think it depends on if they have the ability to communicate it or not. Because some people will shut down and just, not communicate, hey, I need a moment. But then there are people who'll be like, look, hey, this is the type of person I am. When I feel like this, I'm not good at controlling it. I'm gonna need a distance so that I can regulate, so that I can do that. So I think if you can communicate what you're feeling, no matter how you're feeling, if you can communicate it and exercise some level of control over it, then I think that would qualify as emotional intelligence.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to you, Sweeney. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
I was gonna actually I kind of say something along to what Cloud Jones said. Because obviously a element of emotional intelligence is social skills and ability to be able to communicate. So do I believe that every instance where a person shuts down in a conversation is a lack of emotional intelligence? Not necessarily. I'm kind of aligned with what Cloud said, is that it depends on how that happens. If they're able to communicate with you why they're shutting down, or they're willing to bow out of a conversation that may not necessarily be going in a direction that they don't want to take it. You know what I mean? So they say, hey, look, typically, you know what I mean, I can go on and have these type of discussions, but the way I'm feeling right now, I don't think that'd be good for us to continue this conversation. So yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with Cloud on this one.
I know you guys spoke about them at least still being able to communicate about the shutdown, but does it ever get to a point where the shutdown is just too much? I mean, you can't, because some people will shut down anytime there, and Marcus may be able to better explain it, or Trev, because we had a debrief where I seen those skills being able to be exercised, or at least them being able to understand it in its entirety. But that shutdown can't keep happening every single time. At some point in time, and you may not be that person to be able to assist that, or it may be a strategy or tool, or maybe something that you can learn to kind of help get that person on board. But I think sometimes a shutdown, because some people shut down and they never come back to it, and then some people that shut down and still be able to articulate. But sometimes a shutdown can be a day, and so now whatever energy that came with it, it hasn't been resolved. So I think that we as people should seek to be better communicators and better listeners, and being able to learn how to resolve and being able to get through those moments. Because to me, you shutting down every single time, there's clearly has to be something that's ticking inside that's resisting the conversation, or whatever's happening inside your body. It's resisting. It doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, I guess you know what. Now that I think about it, I just reread your question, and you did say that routinely shut down. So that means this is a regular occurrence for them. So yeah, in that aspect, I'm completely in agreement with you. Where if that's your go-to move for any conversation where things get uncomfortable, you just shut down. Then again, that's social skills is a form of emotional intelligence. So that's an area that you may lack in. So yeah, I don't think they're completely emotionally unintelligent, but that may be an element of emotional intelligence that they lack in. Like I said earlier, we all have a functioning level of emotional intelligence, but there are some times where we're tested where we show there are areas in emotional intelligence that we lack in.
There's been plenty of times where I wanted to shut down, I want to fire off, and I just had to understand that wasn't going to get us nowhere. Like you get very uncomfortable hearing something that you really don't want to hear. And I've grown from that, because I would never get emotional, but I can feel it inside of me, said, I don't want to hear this right now. And I want to express it and be able to tell it to this person. But you being able to show that restraint and that discipline, and still be able to hear it and hear past it and say, hey, this might be something that can help me. Like this may be something that may be beneficial to me. And I've done that more so recently than ever. But I still do sit in moments. I'm human, right? I still do sit in moments that I just want to say, like, shut the F up. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Or I don't want to hear this shit. Like, I do want to say it. And if I'm being honest, but at least I'm able to refrain from escalating. Because, I grew up where we just didn't really talk. We really didn't talk. We just, like, enough is enough. I had to learn it the hard way at my old job. So when we stepped down and we went to the common area, I approached them. I said, let me holler at you for a second. Because we ain't gonna keep doing this talking, and they're gonna keep doing this little slick at the mouth. So it takes I've learned that being on my grown man ish, you don't have to fire back every time. Sometimes the problem is not necessarily you, but it's more of them. And even if you sit on the other side of playing chess, or you sit on the other side of being above all the BS, because I always say there's their reality, there's my reality, there's the reality that exists, and then you can just be above it all. And when you look it down over all that BS, it's just like, this person is effed up. It ain't me. It ain't me. But I still do want to respond though. I still do want to tell them about themselves. But it takes everybody can't do it. And that's why you have a lot of these emotional people, man. They just walk around and they just unstable and they just firing off, especially the young generation. These young generation, they ain't trying to talk.
I don't know, JR. So what you describe, sometimes some people just need to get hit in the mouth. And I get it. Hold on, wait. I get it. Because what he described was somebody that's pushing
somewhere else.
That's constantly right. Sometimes some people just need to get hit in the mouth. And they don't learn until they get hit in the mouth. We know this. Some people who just keep yapping off at the mouth at you. There's sometimes you can ignore it when you like, hey man, I'm not about to keep dealing with you like this. But then there's some instances where you got to be aware of your surroundings.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. The thing about it is that you got to be willing to understand what's going to come with that, because depending on the person, they may not stop. You may just want to leave it at hitting at the mouth, but that person may be felt embarrassed, because that person who I approached, he tried to get me fired. I thought as men we come together, and I left it alone, and then I received a call said I've been removed from service pending investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person that talked a lot of he talk a lot of ish, and he said something. I heard my name on the radio. I just like, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing on the radio. I'm just gonna walk up to him because I don't want that talking. Before I knew it, I was in the zone. And I tell this story. He had transitional glasses, and I was able to look through the tent directly at his eyeballs. And I told him, keep my name out your mouth. And in other words, and there was a bunch of witnesses around. And I thought we was cool there. But then he sat down and he was looking. And after I came out from where I was at, I was just looking at him like, what the fuck is he sitting over there like that? I had embarrassed him. And he tried to give me five, but I'm only saying that to say, when you in the streets, it's a different thing. You may, and Marcus know, like these guys, when they get embarrassed or they get belittled and their ego straight, shit, they ain't trying to do no talking.
Yeah. But you know what though, I would say this, that I don't know. I think, you know what I mean. I'm in agreement. But I also, when I say somebody needs to get hit in the mouth, I'm also willing to accept the consequences of hitting somebody in the mouth. There's an opposite and equal reaction. If not, sometimes people escalate. That's the reality. So when you make decisions, you got to be willing to accept the decisions that you're making. But
ain't that you showing a lack of emotional intelligence then?
Yeah, but we all slip up. We all slip up.
So
how
about this though?
If you was gonna do that time, you gotta strategically do it, and that's where the emotional intelligence come. That's if you even think about people that got a lot to lose, like they don't have no emotional intelligence when they're going out there fighting the fight. That's what your peoples is for, shit. Or
you know what? Bring up that video. We just because
we was talking about with LeBron earlier. That's emotional intelligence.
Well, let me address what was said in this video, because the first thing she said argue. She didn't say discussion or had a conversation. She said argue. Then she tried to correct herself and say conversation. No, you meant what you said the first time. You like to argue, and that's okay for somebody else, not for Hink. So we're not going to argue and do all of this bullshit. And you're going to sit there and talk about, I'm going to use emotion and I'm going to shut down because I'm going to contain myself. Because I'm not going to get to the point where we're Sweeney's talking about and hit nobody in the goddamn mouth, right? Because I got too much to lose. And And heifer, you're not worth that, right? So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to take the higher approach. So yeah, I don't think there's nothing wrong with shutting down if that's your way of getting yourself together, getting yourself in the right place, getting yourself at peace. You know, as a father, I never thought to whoop my son when I'm irate or pissed off at that moment, because it's not going to be good for his light-skinned behind. So I had to make sure I need to calm down, reassess, evaluate what happened, have a conversation with him on why I am spanking him or why I'm disciplining him, and then proceed to do such. But you know, I don't have no problem with somebody. They say, "Hey, man, hey, give me a moment. We'll talk about this later." It's just not the right time right now. And ladies, I know a lot of you ladies want to get it off, get it out, get it done. Sometimes you got to give a man a moment, because if not, you keep pressing him, you keep pushing him, and when he raises up and lashes out and he turns to the Incredible Hulk on your ass, you're going to feel like you're going to be intimidated, scared, feel like, oh, you know, I thought you was going to. No, that's not the case. But I'm letting you know right offhand, give me a moment. We can talk. We're going to have the conversation. Please lead it. We're going to address this. It's just not the moment right now. So I don't have no problem with a man sitting there telling shutting down, say, hey, I need some time. Or a woman even doing the same thing. I need some time. Yep. And the person, whoever he's having a conversation, needs to respect that and not try to keep at being antagonistic, poking the bear, you know, saying, no, we're going to have him now. To the point where now she's ready to lay hands on you because you're not talking. Now, I'm saying this because I experienced this type of shit. And this is the type of chick that had to leave at a goddamn restaurant because that's how she likes to handle shit. She wants to get volatile. I'm not with that. That shit don't turn me on. Because I know I don't want to end up like Jonathan Majors. The man tried to get away from this woman. She kept trying to press him to have a conversation to the point she's running 3 or 4 blocks in order to have a conversation instead of letting the cooler heads prevail and maybe come back later, even if it takes the next day to talk about it, work through these situations, and then come to some type of resolution and resolve from there, and we can mess around and make love. You know what I'm saying? It'll be all good. Don't do it like don't press the issue like that. Go ahead, bro.
I just wanted to add to his question. He said, "Do people who shut down lack emotional intelligence?" I said, just because you does not mean that you are emotionally illiterate. Sometimes, emotional phase where like, you can't, or maybe something's going on in your head, and you know we can't read minds. Sometimes you gotta let a person blow some steam. Maybe we need to regroup back later. Maybe we need to stop this right here. But at some point, we're gonna have to come back and regroup. And if, like Lapeef said, once we regroup, like if it's a repeated thing where like you just keep shutting down and we just can't get it through, at that point, it then comes a lack of I say self emotional intelligence. You know, it really becomes a thing of yourself at that point. You know, we can't save everyone, and that's the reality. We can't get through to everyone, and the ones that we can't get through, the ones can't sit down and have a mature conversation about and problem solving. That's an internal issue that they need to figure out where is that. They need to trace back where it's come, and they need to take whatever necessary to get that help and improve to adapt to people, because the problems is never going to end. Improving yourself is to that table that you're not going to have a choice to come back to later when another problem arises, because you're going to have to at some point be able to problem solve with people, whether it's a coworker, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your partner. If not, like I said, you got to go back to yourself and figure out what's going on internally.
But geez, what if they, you know, that's their way of handling things, but they have, like you said, we're able to handle it later, to have the conversation later. You don't necessarily have to have the conversation right there on the spot all the time, every time, right? Maybe that's their way. You just got to know your person. You just got to know who you're dealing with, know the person you have a relationship with, and how they communicate, how they handle arguments, how they handle frustration, how they handle disappointment. These things you need to learn. And if you don't learn it, then you're going to find out the hard way.
Right. Honda builds millions of Honda Accords, but not every 2,000 Accord is built the same. It just depends on that individual.
Yeah.
I
So
like
I
that.
say this, Hank, you made an excellent point with that joint. As far as like punching a person in the mouth doesn't translate well with women, right? So that's really not an option because your life is ruined at that point. You already know what it is. You get a record now. You can't. There's certain HOAs don't want to let you in. You can't get a lot of jobs. There's certain things you just can't do anymore. You can't move the way that you would move like a grown ass man because you got that in the way, right? So I understand that point. How I definitely feel like that being your default is a problem unless you are dealing with someone who really does lack emotional intelligence themselves, right? Because you might just be doing it to avoid a situation escalating because you know where this is going. You know that once this person has reached this particular level, that there is no longer reasoning left. If reasoning's off the table, what are you doing? How do you feel like you can still communicate effectively if reasoning and rationale is off the table? There are some people who are trapped in relationships like that, whether because they are married, living girlfriend, they got children that they don't want to be apart from for the rest of their lives, and they're dealing with situations and they're like, oh man, she's not trying to hear it. Because there are some females, and I used to deal with some of them females back in the day. I grew up in Brick City. And that rah-rah, shaking their fingers in your face and all that, yo, I know how they are. None of those relationships would really last long. And once they started to exhibit that type of behavior, I would drop them for sure. However, I know what it's like. And I know some people who constantly still deal with that, right? So it comes a point where you're like, all right, this I have to shut down because I can no longer effectively communicate with this particular individual. And there's nothing you can do to talk to them. There's nothing you can do to reason with them. If communication is not unilateral, right? So if they are not offering you reasoning, then you cannot reason with an unreasonable person. They're unreasonable. So you have to take that into consideration. And once you see how that thing starts to escalate, you're like, do I really want to go there? Because now you learn really quickly what's next. All right. Are they going to become violent? Because, a lot of times women get away with violence, right? Are they going to throw something, punch me in the face, scratch me? How many cats you see coming through with a whole bunch of scratches on their face and their neck, and they know they can't do nothing? They know they could fling her across the room real quick, but the consequences for men are far greater, right? So it becomes very complicated when that person that you're trying to effectively communicate is your significant other that you're kind of binded to, right? For whatever reason that may be. And the best thing to do, the best choice, if you were ever faced with that situation, I would advise you to create an exit strategy at least. But if you can't leave immediately, but some people feel like they can't. And that's why they would just shut down. And there's different ways of shutting down. Your shutting down might be just not to talk at all. Your shutting down might be to become passive and start to patronize the person. So there's different ways of shutting down where you can no longer effectively communicate. That's what it all boils down to. So maybe that's your emotional intelligence, just understanding, damn, this is a bad situation no matter what, but it could be worse. Do I want to deal with the absolute worst, or do I just want to make it out of here today, just forget about it, and make it to the next day? Some of these cats be in relationships really doing a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, just from my perspective on it, a lot of times as a man, especially, you have to control the room. So if you're already seeing what a conversation is going, you're already seeing that it's going to be a negative. I'd be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? We can talk about this later. All right, calm down. All right, and then now once you can see that person trying to calm themselves down because they're going to tell you they're not calm, but you can actually see them trying to fight themselves to make themselves calm. And you can say, see, you're not calm. You're not ready to have this conversation. Soon as you get ready to have this conversation, now you putting it back on them. They have to show you that they're ready to have a conversation and remain calm, right? Or if you're dealing with an ex or something like that, or a baby mama or something like that, and she started yelling on the phone about the kid or something like that, hey, send me an email. You know what I'm saying? Now, she don't want to be typing all that crap, beating the keyboard up. You know what I'm saying? Now when she come to you and talk to you again, she going to want to have a regular conversation with you and stuff like that. So, and this is what you're trying to get to, because typically when somebody shut down, it's because something negative happened. I never seen somebody shut down and they was happy. Why the fuck they shut down for? You know what I mean? So we got to look at the root rather than saying, oh, well, you should allow me to yell at you and cuss at you all day. And then all of a sudden now I want to have this conversation with you how I want to. No, it don't supposed to work like that. And it's just the education we have to teach our ladies because it wasn't taught. Men, we know how to talk to each other because, like Sweeney said earlier, it's going to be some fist flying. And this is how we have to communicate to them to make them better women, and then they'll respect you more for it later.
James, are you saying are you just so I'm comprehending what you're saying? Are you basically saying like um in the beginning is really important how we nip things in the bud? Is that basically what you're saying?
Exactly.
Like basically not allow. Basically, it sounds like you're trying to say that
you got to set
when
the tone.
something arise the first time, like instead of skipping that red flag and stuff like that, and just letting it bypass, like we're nipping it right in there. But if we let it pass the first time and don't let it see that as an opportunity that okay, do it again, we could do it again, and then they'll think that it's okay, it's a normal thing. But if we nip those attitudes in the bud the first time, this we'll see what the reaction is right then and there. If the reaction is repulsive, then that should be our sign right to exit before it gets deep. And you know what happens when you keep letting things pass by and it gets deep? That's start to get ugly. That's when the shit starts to hit the fan.
Yeah, exactly. I think I got
Because we don't nip it right
most
in
of what you were saying. But yeah, like at the beginning relationship, you got to make sure when you having those type of conversations, because y'all gonna have a disagreement. As soon as you have that disagreement and you see her acting up, you be like, hey, calm down, and then if she don't calm down, you gotta shut it down because you're like, no, I tried to talk to you. I was being patient. I was trying, and you communicate that to her too. But this is not going to be a fruitful conversation because you're going to be yelling, and then I'm going to be yelling, and we're not going to hear each other. So we just basically going to be wasting each other time, and then you're going to feel hurt because I yelled at you. Now it's going to be my fault because I yelled at you. I'm not fit to get into a lose-lose situation.
I just want to take a time and say y'all are some emotionally intelligent brothers, and the foresight y'all displaying in this conversation has raised the conversation to a level that's very impressive. Like very, very impressive actually, because it requires a lot of foresight to actually be able to. Because the initial issue she was talking about was shutting down as a mechanism to have fight or flight detachment, right? And how that can be negative if you never address it. All of y'all talked about coming back to the situation, and I think that's what differentiates it being a negative versus a net positive. You talked, I think Heek was saying de-escalation, James was saying de-escalation, Sweeney saying de-escalation, Clout, G, Trev, everybody's saying de-escalation. They're trying to remove themselves from the scenario while it's going. Having a foresight, which as men we should be exercising at all times, to see where this potentially is going to go, and then deciding if this is a place that's productive or negative for us. And as long as you can address it, you can get to a position that's positive. But there's another context, like Hank said, I believe it was Hank or Sweeney, when they were saying, she was saying, no, I want to argue about this now, or I want to talk about this now. There's some people, there is no productive resolution, right? You can, and the discernment comes in and being able to realize, hey, when at this time this person either might need to work on some things, and then y'all can get to a point where y'all can have a productive conversation, or maybe you just can never have that conversation. But that discernment comes in from realizing that. And I think that's the ideal thing when you're vetting personal relationships and love relationships. When do you gain a discernment to tell, hey, this is going to be a long-standing issue? No matter how many times we work about it, we're going to come back to this same issue. Now, if the person is working on it, you can work with them, right? Like, I see you making strides to try and change the behavior that you was exhibiting that's put us to this position. That person you can work with and say, hey, because that person in that moment, you can say, hey, this is getting into that territory, and they'll, you know what, I'm unconsciously doing it. Let me step back because I'm not trying to go there. Then there's other people who get mad and go further into it. And that's what I kind of mean about the thought process versus the action, right? The person whose thought process is trying to break from that will step back and reevaluate, like, hey, maybe I am doing XYZ. A person who you know what I'm saying is in that thought process negatively will get angrier, will do more, will make it worse. And in them situations, the best is to separate yourself until that person heals or is in a better space, or you might not never ever be able to come back around them. It really depends on how that person is moving. And I think when we talk about vetting, that's the key thing in vetting for men. Like, if you can learn how to do that, you'll be able to find yourself in a situation where life can be extremely copacetic, because all the things that are consistently negative can be cut out. And then you can be at a state where you thriving, because the only thing you got to worry about is like your goals and the possibilities and the things you want to do, and focus on those things versus spending the emotional and physical energy trying to resolve conflict all the time. It's not necessary for productive adults to constantly be in conflict with one another. It's not a net positive in any scenario. It's just not. There's a healthy form of engaging and growing, but then conflict is not going to be a net positive, because you walk away from that feeling drained. You walk away from that feeling angry and upset. And you might take that out on somebody else, or you might internally just form a physical medical issue from all the stress and things that you're dealing with from that stuff. So I think that the key word is discernment, right? So yeah.
Hey, Marcus, it wasn't Sweeney said, it was me, because Sweeney would have never said nothing that profound. You know?
All right, man. I got to bring up this one video pertaining to this. The next one is being able to apologize is a sign of emotional intelligence.
Once again, are not emotionally intelligent. The way that I know that people are not, I see how people apologize. Mm-hmm. The most vulnerable act that you can do as a human is apologize. Because when you apologize, yes, that's one of the most vulnerable. Yes, because in that apology, whenever you are apologizing, right, this means this goes two ways. You are acknowledging that you have possibly stepped out of your integrity or your morality and offended somebody. That takes a great level of vulnerability. In those apologies, most times there are two emotions and feelings that show up: guilt and shame. Yep. To be able to acknowledge that I feel guilty or I feel ashamed, there's some sort of shame, and I have to sit in this, understand it, so that way as I process it, I can apologize to you and actually admit that I have offended you and give you some type of plan of action to create some type of resolve. Right. People will scream, oh, I have a high EI, I have a high EQ. Do you apologize? How often do you apologize? Or you'll see people in relationships and you'll hear them talking, and then when you're like, did you apologize? Nah, I don't like apologizing. Oh, okay. Well, that tells me a lot.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Being able to apologize is a sign of emotional intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, James. What are your thoughts about that?
Man, I can rock with it. I totally agree. But what I would do is I would add the word repent to that conversation, because repent is because when you apologize, right? A lot of times we apologize, yeah, my bad, and then you do the exact same thing again, right? But repent means to turn around. So I think that would be a better outcome for the relationship and to move on, because, or say a brother, right? If I did a brother wrong, hey, I won't do that again, my bad, type of deal. So, but I agree with where she was going with that. That was good.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to you, Trev.
Yeah, she kind of had me bugging at the the last part of it when she said the dude was like, "I don't like apologizing." Like that's crazy. No one likes apologizing, of course, but there's a lot of things that we don't like to do. But if you're wrong, you should have the ability to understand that and let the other person know, right? An apology could come verbally, but maybe not verbally. Sometimes they come in other ways. Somebody might gift you, like it's different. Well, I mean, somebody was laughing. I guess they thought of it like, what I females apologize in different ways. Sometimes dudes apologize, whatever. Like somebody might gift you something. Someone might just behave differently, right? They would do better. And I'm not even crazy big on apologies. Sometimes I don't necessarily need one. What I need is more of what James explained, the repent. I need that turn, right? I need you to do better, right? If apologies is too much for you to do, okay, fine. Maybe you don't have the humility necessary to do it. But do you have the ability to make that effective change? That's where the importance comes in. So me personally, I do feel like you should apologize, but I also understand that some people just don't have the ability to. And we can't expect, just because you might feel like you're in a certain space with your emotional intelligence, that you expect everyone else to be on that same level. It's great if you can find someone that's on that level, but sometimes you just don't. We're dealing with reality, man, and some people are messed up. It is what it is. A lot of people dealt with trauma. A lot of people just don't know how to be around people. So sometimes you have to take people for what they are, right? And it doesn't mean you accept disrespect, but you also don't allow people to repeatedly offend you either. You can't do that. So as long as I get the change, the apology, it's whatever.
A lot of every time a lot of people don't apologize because it comes with a concession of accountability. It's like like example, right? When Donald Trump lost to Biden in the election, um, he one time did he want to concede with the concession speech because it was fine. He still won the election. This was rigged. He didn't want to concede it that he lost. He didn't want to come to common ground. And that's what apologizing comes to. Level sets you to common ground. I've heard this as well. Old fashioned fathers say, all right, the son says, "Hey dad, I think I found the right one. I think I want her to be my wife." And the dad says, "Say I'm sorry." "I'm sorry. What? Wait, what do you mean I'm saying I'm sorry? I'm not apologizing. I didn't do anything." He says, "Oh son, until you're ready to say I'm sorry for no reason, you're not ready to be married with her." You ever heard that before? Apologizing even when you're wrong. There's a way that you can do that, and I'm gonna tell you how. If there's anything that I may have done, I apologize. I don't know if I did something, but if we come to disagreement, that's the speech to use. Listen, there's something that I did to offend you, whatever the case may be. I apologize. Even if I didn't do anything wrong, it's an example to level set the attitude. And sometimes we have to lead with an apology that really should be coming from the other person to teach each other, and let's say as partners, right? The man and the woman, to teach each other that sometimes, even if I'm not right, like even if I am right, sometimes you have to at least try to train to say, you know, I'm sorry, even if you were wrong. Maybe it might, maybe it might level, like calm them down and say. And this also comes with patience, you know, self awareness, right? And ourselves, and also what we learn within ourselves, it is that point to be able to people. Now it's up to them at the end of the day determine whether they have reciprocated properly what we're trying to teach. And able to, and if you get it through, cool. If you can't save everybody. But this is what also able to identify that little thing in the beginning, nipping those things in the bud, instead of going on this never-ending cycle of modern 2023 where we just let things pass by and then they okay hold themselves accountable because we didn't hold them accountable what's right to us and what's wrong.
So I I agree
Sorry
with
for but but I'm done.
so I agree with being able to apologize is a sign of emotional intelligence. I think because it lets the person know that you don't mean any disrespect and you're having a conversation in good faith, right? Even like if y'all hear when I cut somebody off, I apologize. Like, oh, my fault. I didn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like almost every single time. Like I think I just did it, right? Because I'm trying to let you know, hey, I wasn't trying to overtalk you and be disrespectful. And I know it could come off that way. So that's my fault. I don't got no problem doing that. You know what I'm saying? And it and in doing that, I think most times, unless somebody just has a vendetta, which is something they struggling with personally, and that they understand I'm not trying to come for you, come at you, or be disrespectful. And in doing so, we can actually engage in a conversation and try and get to a resolution. Because my goal in communication is for the other person to hear what I'm saying, internalize it, think about it, and whether I'm right or wrong, hear what I said and respond back to that. Not to be right, not to win a argument or none of that stuff. It's hey, this is what I'm saying and what I'm presented with. Take a look. You know what I'm saying? Do you see the same thing? If not, okay, then what do you see? And if we can engage in that without any ad hominems and any of that stuff, then we can move forward. That's kind of how I look at
Because
like
with
all.
level of sensitivity.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Marcus just said. I think the most important thing when it comes to the apology and that emotionally intelligent people understand is when it comes to an apology, it's often not about right or wrong, or not about making a concession of what was right or wrong. It's more so about showing the person that there was no disrespect intended, and also showing that you're dealing in good faith. I think that's often missed when it comes to apologies, and I know it's often missed because when I was a younger man, I did not have that level of emotional intelligence, and there was a point in my life where I did not understand that the apology wasn't about right and wrong. It really has nothing to do with right and wrong in most cases. You know, if you're dealing with someone and you consider that person someone that you respect or you care about, and they're communicating to you something to the regards of that something you said hurt them, it really doesn't matter, you know, what it is that hurt them, and it shouldn't matter to you what it is that hurt them, or whether you were right or wrong about what it is that hurt them. Because if you genuinely care about them, the intention shouldn't be to hurt them. So it's always good to be able to look at the hurt or the damage that you cause and be able to acknowledge it, because a lot of people, no one's expecting that you won't cause them any damage. You know, it's just that they want to know that when you do cause damage and you do cause hurt, that you're going to be accountable and that you care enough to look them in the face and say, hey, look, my bad, my mistake. I didn't mean to do that to you. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. You know, I understand that I play a role in why you're feeling the way you're feeling or why you're experiencing your emotions. And for that, I'm taking responsibility for it. I think it takes tremendous emotional intelligence to do that. It takes a tremendous amount of maturity, and it can be difficult because you also got to let your ego down a lot of times to be able to do that. I kind of disagreed a little bit with what Trev was saying. Like, I agree with Trev from the sense of like, I don't always need to have the apology. I'd like to see the action, but I find that words kind of create the reality we live in. And if a person can't bring themselves to verbally acknowledge the damage that they've caused or verbally apologize, I find it very hard to believe that the actions will be able to follow words that they can't say. Because because to me, like the spoken word is everything. Like how we speak about ourselves, how we speak to ourselves in our mind, how we speak to others, it determines the environment we create. So how can a person create an environment of change and accountability without being able to acknowledge that there's something that needs to be changed or something that needs to be accountable for? So overall, I would completely agree that it's a great sign of emotional intelligence, and I think everybody should be willing to apologize.
Cloud Jones,
I know
real
this.
quick. Let me. I just wanted to tell you where I was coming from with that. I hear a lot of apologies, right? I always hear people. People just say my bad or yo, I'm sorry, and a lot of times it's not heartfelt. It's nearly impossible to discern where they're coming from. So it holds no weight in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the words itself, they're cool, but I could do with or without it. But what I said I can't do without is you making that change. I don't want to see you be a repeat offender. And that's why I have a bad taste in my mouth for apologies, because I've been apologized a lot of times and then violated again. So that's why it means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. What are you going to do? Actions speak louder than words. So that's where I'm coming from with it. You could go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. You can say what you want, but it means nothing until actions are behind it.
Well, in that
Question.
regard, I definitely completely agree. I just want to say, like, I definitely do believe that the words are as important, but I do agree that without the action following it, it means completely nothing. So I would agree with you there.
A question. Would it like so when you apologizing, right? You apologize in a way where you got to take one, right? In a position of leadership, let's say we had customer service on behalf of this employee. Um, I apologize on behalf of the employee's actions. So, how many times has an employer had to apologize on behalf of another adult? Um, but it also follows up with a course of action. It follows up with a course of action. Choice, especially if it's a customer complaint, because depending on the nature of the complaint, it whatever the course of action is, whether they have to fire them or whatever, or if it's like a product or something like that, or give them a refund or something like that, depending on the course of action, they have to follow up with lawsuit. You know, I agree with what Smooth was saying. Sometimes saying I'm sorry is good enough. It has to come with a course of action. What are we going to do to improve so we don't have to come to the situation where you're saying I'm sorry again?
Absolutely.
Can I say something real fast? But I don't know, my man, if you saying that we should be just apologize because you made that reference to that video. Yeah, I would never teach my son to be cow tipping and doing all that for just to be okay with a woman. I'll be goddamn.
No,
What lessons is she, let me finish. What lessons is she ever going to learn if I'm always apologizing for shit I'm not wrong for? Where's the lessons learned at? Now I'm showing emotional intelligence, but she's showing none.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she can't be with me. If she if we're not on the same pages of emotional intelligence, and I gotta apologize every time to make everything good and fine and hunky and dory, no, that's a problem, brother. So now we're like Marcus said earlier, we're dying on the inside because it's eating us up, knowing we're not wrong, knowing we are right. But we got to apologize just to make her feel better. While I'm sick in my stomach knowing this ain't the real. Yeah, I can't do that shit. And I can't share with any young man or teach my son to go for that shit. If you wrong, you need to apologize. But if you right, say it in a respectful manner, bring it to proof to her attention, and let it be there. If she chooses to apologize, that's on her. But I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to tell a woman sorry because of something I didn't do. I'm not wrong for.
I was given an example I was basically giving a bad example of how we apologize. When I brought up the situation of the father and the son, I saw this in a video the other day. It was a skit
Yeah,
where the son said,
I
right.
seen it.
So I was basically showing an example of how we allow ourselves in the modern a lot of us allow ourselves to basically, how can I say, we basically allow ourselves to concede even if we are right when we should, pretty much what I was trying to say, instead of giving in and holding other people accountable. That's what I was trying to say. So I wanted to bring up that example to show what's a good way of apologizing and what's a bad way that we just accept things. That's how I was trying, and that was my explanation.
Yeah, I think that might be a perfect example. The link I sent in the back. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. That's Sweeney wanted us to take a look at.
I would say Sweeney been campaigning for it almost all night.
Heck, I'm gonna need you to get all the way up off my back right now, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, Wu-Tang said protect your neck, Sweeney. You know how it go.
All right. Here we go.
Eat the first time, the second time, you're
get
bum.
knocked the fuck out after,
Bro,
right?
you're a fucking idiot.
Then you get
dude.
knocked
You
the
might be
fuck
the
out after,
stupidest
right?
guy on the UFC roster. Literally, you're so fucking stupid. On Saturday night, I'm gonna bring you to a place you never want to be. I'm gonna bring you to 7th layer hell.
Okay.
No, I'm bringing you to 7th layer hell. We'll say what's up to your dad while we're there.
Oh.
All right. So everybody know what just happened there, right? All right. So some context to this video. Basically, dude's dad was murdered. And during this, you know how fighters come together and they talk shit back and forth with each other. Well, he brought up his dad and dude threw a microphone at him. But I thought this was a perfect example of how the lack of emotional control can possibly ruin your life. What we do know that transpired after the fact was he had a fight coming up with this dude within days of the event. And he won the fight. So why, you know what I mean? This is one of those examples of a man that could have potentially jeopardized his career over an emotional reaction and not thinking things through when he had an opportunity to face this guy head up later on in the first place. So what do y'all think of that?
No, it's different.
I hope they was playing.
No, it's different because when you talk about the fights, they want that. You're selling tickets. You're trying to get an audience. So anytime they have an issue like that flares up, they want that. And that's what that white dude was trying to do. He does that a lot. He's trying to sell the fight, trying to really promote the fight. That's why he's a heel, as they used to call him in wrestling, right? He's an agitator. So he does little stuff, says little stuff. This wasn't the first time. I remember he got into it with what's that black dude, that African dude. He got into it and talked real crazy to him. Man, that brother beat the shit out of his ass. And
of course,
I think he's from Jamaica. Matter of fact, he was the same one that was over with for that Fury and that Fury fight. He was the shorter black dude. He was that dude. He got into a fight with him and he beat the brakes off of him. But in them situations, they always trying to be antagonistic towards each other, say little stuff. Now, that white dude, he goes too far a lot, right? You know, he goes too far a lot. And so, I mean, did he take it? I mean, did a dude show like him? No, he really did, because the only thing he did was through the mic. Once somebody grabbed, you didn't see him go after him anymore. He was calmed down. He gained his composure, and he did what he had to do, and he whooped his ass in the ring or in the octagon. So I think that's probably a little bit different, though, in my opinion. I don't know. Somebody else might see differently, though.
Yeah.
So all right. So if I take it out of just that situation, and like say you on the street and somebody say that and you had your gun on you, and you kill them right then and there, that's like a realistic thing that could happen. Yeah. It really, 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 really can happen, and you'll sit there. That what they say, 6 seconds be the difference between 40 years in jail and not having 40 years in jail. That'll alter the whole change of your life. Them 6 seconds, how you respond to it. Like I hope I had the strength to maintain my composure, and when somebody hit a trigger and I had an opportunity to attack them. I can't honestly say that I'm always going to be able to do it. I just hope that I'm keeping myself out of situations where I don't, and I try my best to not end up in that scenario, because that's a hard one. That man father got killed. That wound probably soared in that thing. You know what I'm saying? You when you lose a parent, you're dealing with death for a while, and that's a really hard thing to deal with. And yeah, I hope and I to whatever God you pray to, I pray to him that you had the foresight and the ability to maintain it and get your revenge later. As I got older, that's one of the things I tried to work on. Oddly enough, these panels help with that, because people say some extremely triggering stuff and you actually physically can't touch them. So you either got to eat it and move on, or devise a plan to get their ass later. Like, those are your only options. You got to eat that shit and move on, or devise a plan to get them later. And hopefully you can just eat it and move on.
Is this one of the things that you were saying that like some case scenarios like it just deserves you getting socked? Is this?
No. So I think
I
that's.
believe you said it earlier. I think you said it earlier.
Yeah, those one of those scenarios where some people just get hit in the mouth. However, I will say there is a way to overreact. And I think that, because I don't think that was scripted. Him throwing a microphone at that guy was not scripted. He was intentionally trying. Now, he may have missed, and therefore there wasn't no harm, no foul. But if he would have, like, we've seen what microphones can do to people, you know what I mean, when you throw them at them. So what if he lost the, you know what I mean? What if they called off the fight because he caused an injury that wouldn't allow him to fight? What if he pressed charges against you? There's a lot of things that can happen. And knowing that you have an opportunity to go in the ring with this person, sometimes I think we can let, you know what I mean, let that 6 seconds get the better of us and make a bad judgment call on certain type of situation. I think that was just a perfect scenario for a person that to truly understand the situation that they're in. It's like, man, you escalated it at this point when you had an opportunity to go at this guy at a later point to actually solve it the way that it should have been solved. You know what I mean?
All right, so that means that you kind of agree with us then earlier when we made that statement.
Yeah, I meant, when I say hit up, sometimes some people just need to be hit in the mouth. I meant that figuratively, not literally. Okay. Like, sometimes you just, like, for instance, the reality is like in your situation, when that guy went to HR on you, the reality is you got hit in the mouth. You went up to his face, you said something to him, and said, this is gonna be the last time you say something to me. And he hit you with that gut check and was like, yeah, you might lose your job over this shit.
Yeah, that was my first time I realized, it was my first real job. I left college, man. I got a reality check at that moment. I said, this is different.
You was being a heel, huh? You was being a heel, Sweeney.
You said what?
You was being a heel in this situation?
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's what you want to call it. But yeah, that's because I agree with y'all. I think I've always been a firm believer that you don't escalate the violence over words. Because at that point, then where do you stop? Because if I can escalate and hit you in the mouth because you use words against me, then what's stopping you from escalating violence to shoot me because I hit you? And then so on and so forth. So I've always had a personal belief that, you know what I mean, anytime I've seen even that whole Will Smith thing, I vehemently disagree with him on that. Why? Because he used his words and then you went up and slapped him. And look how much you lost in the event of that. When you could have just sat there, and he may not be a comedian, but you could have slang a joke back at him. You know what I mean? You didn't have to go up there and slap him. But so many
That
people
makes
believe that was the way to go about it. But if had Chris Rock would have thrown that microphone at his head afterward, or he would have used the rest of his set to roast his wife, because that's what I would have done as a comedian. I'd have roasted his wife for the rest of that show, and I'd have
that
really
makes
made
so
him feel.
that makes so much sense what you're saying, because like a perfect case scenario where like people perfectly all the time fight words. The WWE, the WWE. You know how they have the speeches against each other, like and prep each other, talk smack to. They fight words with words back and forth when they prep for the fight. If you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. But if I bring a gun to a fist fight, now if I draw a gun out and shoot at you, you have the right to shoot me back. So I understand what you. It's different levels to how we fight back and forth with each other, word for words, fist for fist.
I do want to get to this question real quick for Enos. Hold on, Trev. But she said about the fight wasn't canceled when McGregor threw the dolly. Do we sometimes expect black men to have superhuman level of self-control?
Well, I mean, this fight wasn't canceled either. They fought, and he beat the shit out of the dude. What I'm saying is that the potential of it, and it goes for somebody like Conor McGregor as well. You throw a goddamn dolly at somebody, you severely hurt them, and then they cancel the fight because you done gave them a concussion from hitting them with a dolly. You know what I mean? It goes the same for him. This fight wasn't canceled though, so I was, you know what I mean? I don't think the UFC canceled too many fights, even when that type of shit goes down, as long as nobody's severely hurt. But the reality is that there's instances where, if you pull it away from that particular video, there's instances where we've seen people overreact and do things that literally ended their careers.
But that's not a unique situation, right? So it's not ultra common, but you know that that's a factor, right? A lot of times people do their little face off to help promote the fight, and somebody might push or puts their finger in the other person's face, and it escalates into like a little squabble or whatever. So, you know, that's common. What I say is this, just like Marcus kind of touched on a little earlier, how we even have to exercise restraint. Once you put yourself in a position to where you're in the public eye, you have to understand people are going to say some wild stuff to you. You have to have thick skin. There's no way. There's no way that you could. Damn, I'm hearing a crazy echo. Is that just me?
I hear it too.
Oh yeah, that's yours.
Who, me?
Well,
it's going now. It's going.
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, I mean, it's in between.
Okay. Yeah, so even with that, right? If you're in the public eye, people are going to say the craziest stuff to you. I hear all types of crazy stuff. I know Marcus is kind of, you get a lot of it now too, right? Like, yeah, it's what's going to happen. If you let that drive you nuts, then that's what it's going to do. You have to be able to look at it and just laugh or ignore it, or whatever you need to do to cope with that, because it's going to happen. So when you put yourself in a position, all of us here, we chose it, right? Nobody forcing us. I ain't got nobody behind me with a weapon like, yo, you better get on this live. We chose it, but you have to understand the consequences of that, right? Those dudes who fight, they know that's the reality. People go on talk. They're promoting a fight. Sometimes people go overboard. Oh, well, this is the lane you chose. You know that none of that stuff is radical. You just have to know how to operate within those frequencies. And it's tough, but it's part of it. You're greatly compensated for it. So it's expected of you. Everybody who go in the NBA, you hear them going crazy sometimes when they're in Boston or when they're in Oklahoma or wherever. Some of those stadiums are way worse than others. And they say some of the most hurtful things ever on purpose to try to get a rise out of you. They want to create emotions, right? They want to get you out of pocket. They want to get you off your game, but they also want to hurt you. Sometimes they have deep hatred for you just because they're a super fan of the other team. When somebody doesn't like what you have to say, or somebody doesn't like how you winning, you just gonna have to deal with it, man. Don't be successful if you can't take it, man, because people are going to get at you every day.
I was gonna say, a lot of times, man, we gotta look at the end game. Like I remember when I was a young adult, I had another female young adult was trying to get me to fight another guy, trying to put us in odds with each other. And I didn't have no beef with the dude. You know what I mean? So I had to just throw her off and say some simple stuff like I just told her to grow up, and like small little things like that, saying that it made her think. She shut up. She's like, damn, I am acting like a kid, am I? You know what I mean? So it's like that little small little stuff. You got it now. She was thinking like I was gonna get hyped. No, I can get him, and then now she's gonna tell him what I said, and then you know what I'm saying. Now we're gonna be talking, and I almost know the dude. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you just gotta just throw people off like that. And I learned this at a younger age too, because I seen my stepdad. You know, he had some beef with the guy up the street, did some stupid stuff, and then now you know what I mean. It turned out bad for the whole family. It affected everybody. You know what I mean. So a lot of times we have to look at the end game and make, hey, do I really want to be in jail? Do I really want my family to have to go through this? Do I really want this war? Because it can be a family war going on. Now I got my whole family, you know what I mean, at war with another family because some of the stupid stuff I did. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people in jail still to this day because of that stupid stuff. So we just gotta think of the end game and we'll be all right.
So I want to I think the answer to that question is yes. We are expected to have superhuman self-control. Because we a lot of times got superhuman strength, superhuman pain threshold, at least in other people's minds. When you go to the doctor's office, they think we're like they've done standard deviation tests that they believe black men and black women can take a much higher pain threshold. Our muscle density is looked at that we're going to be stronger than most people when they look at us. When you look at the interactions with the police, that's essentially what we're telling our sons. You're going, no matter what they do, you need to maintain and control yourself so you don't die. We are expected to do that. Just our presence in the world a lot of times creates fear in certain environments, in certain places. And we could just be standing there and people will feel a way about that in sometimes. So in order for us to survive and move through this world, especially as men, it's damn near got to be superhuman. It's damn near got to be. It's the truth though.
Yeah, I know we're approaching that time, man. I want to keep everybody off and get everybody off at a decent time. I just want to end with this lastly by saying, stop assuming all the time. I think a lot of times we assume and we never ask a question. So whenever you are in your relationships in particular, sometimes it could be some misunderstanding. Sometimes somebody may be communicating and didn't hit a person, but just always ask first and then address the situation, because you just never know. That's something that I learned throughout my time. So with that being said, we appreciate you guys tuning in to King Talk tonight. Let's make sure that we support each other that's on the panel. Everybody got some phenomenal things going on. Cloud Jones is a star, just in case you guys didn't know. He's international, so he already blew up internationally. Now he's filtering over to the States right now and making his presence be known. So y'all make sure y'all go ahead and support the brother. And we'll see everybody on the platform. We got YouTube channels. So check everybody out. We're going live throughout the week. Let's hold each other down, stick together, support each other, and see if we can lessen the hate. What else we got? Shout out to all my Green Gang again. Torrance Moore, I see you. We didn't need HR today, so that was a good thing. We're typically cool on King Talk. Big Pressure, I see you. What's going on, Brother Ali? Clement Gray, Black Sakan, all the Green Gang. Click that link and go green. That's the way to go. And also make sure you guys check out the sponsor, Tees Hanley. 30% off along a free gift. Christmas is right around the corner. That's an excellent gift. And also Chicago brand too, just in case you know Marcus and Hink and Sweeney from Along the Way. Yeah, the company's actually in Chicago too. And also shout out to Assured Man Naturals. Go ahead and get your product. That link is pinned to the top of the chat. Again, if you're looking for those gifts for the men, Christmas right around the corner. This is an excellent way to go. With that being said, we out, y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all evening. Thank you guys for your perspective tonight. Let's have a good one.